Hello. Um, I've just been watching some videos and I'm up and I'm down at the same time. Not that I am, but I have those kind of feelings that I'd like to share. First, for those of you that are interested, I'm going to put a link in the scribed journal to a nice astrology talk that the Star IQ guys give every month. And it's in 4 parts. I'll link you to the first part so that if you like it, you can listen to the rest. It might be too in-depth for you if you don't have any familiarity at all with astrology. And if you're a heavy-duty astrologer, well, maybe it's not in-depth enough. I don't know, but take a look. When I'm in the right mood for it, I really enjoy it. I get my own chart out and I sit with it because they're discussing where all the planets that are transiting are now. And so you've got that extra layer if you want to look at how that's impacting your natal astrology. So that can be fun. Now, the other thing I did was I went and looked at a couple of the Dr. Quantum videos to get a refresher on superposition and the observation problem, the double-slit experiment, and that kind of a thing. And I was reminded anew of how nasty people can be in the comments. People would generally not, face to face, say such things in such crude ways. And yet there's a sort of anonymity to the internet that some people just kind of lose themselves and they take on a false persona, which is neither here nor there. But we are creating the future. We are creating the new age, the whatever it is we're coming into, the great shift. And we create it with everything we think, do, and say. And so instead of being down on it, when we see these really negative comments, let's see if we can't turn that around, because that's a judgment and a condemnation. And so let's just look at it and observe and see what happens. Every now and then I'm motivated to step in and say something and see about giving it a more positive spin. But a lot of times, you don't want to dance with that kind of energy. So just let your heart be your guide. But we're taking on the empowerment of who and what we really are. And we're standing in our own divinity. And there's a responsibility that goes with that. And we want to leave the best footprints that we can. Our part of the garden, we want to do the best job on that we can do. And so it's also got to do with the whole conversation between science and philosophy. They, centuries ago, they marched side by side. They worked together. Today, science has the big head, and it thinks it knows so much that it takes a very arrogant posture. Often, not always. Obviously, we've got a lot of really, really wonderful scientists that float to the top and that are on the cutting edge of the new understandings that are coming our way. Quite a number in quantum physics. But there's some real arrogant SOBs there too that just think they know it all, and anybody that brings up anything that's not mathematical is an ignorant hobo or something. And we can't fix them. That's the thing. You never want to jump in and try to fix anybody because you can't do it. And most of the time, we can't even hold up a mirror so that they can see themselves. And so I really do trust to higher self to know when to step in and what to say. Okay, so where am I going with this? I did want to ponder for just a moment, ignorantly, not being a physicist, the observation problem, which is connected with a double-slit experiment. Now, we philosophers, light beings, and that sort, have an awareness, or many of us do, that there's power in our gaze. If you've ever met the eyes of a master, you know. I mean, there's a ray of energy that's so penetrating, it can scramble your brains. And so, and this will be seen. I'm more than confident that it won't be too long. I mean, this next century will bring us, the century we're in, will bring us the ability to see and perceive on these other dimensions. And I'm not just saying with our technology, I'm saying with our biology, with the upgrade that we're getting, along with everything else on the planet, as it's being exposed with the magnetic shield down to so much of the solar and cosmic radiation that's just off the charts. We're still in a pretty heavy solar wind stream, even though it's the 7th. That was quite a cosmic dance done by the Sun and Venus on the 5th and the 6th. Truly amazing. So let's look at this. So we have on the one hand our awareness that what we look at, we influence. Set that aside. Just set it completely aside. And let's just look at the double-slit experiment. I'll put a link for you so you can see one of the Dr. Quantum videos on that. It's fairly simple. Anybody that's seen What the Bleep Do We Know has seen this, has had it introduced to them. And it's really basic. It's one of the earlier experiments, I think, in the world of quantum physics, where things just didn't behave in ways that even could have been expected, much less were expected. And so we had particles behaving like waves, and waves shifting back to particles, and it was very confusing. The observation problem, I believe from reading all the comments, I hadn't thought my way through, because it wasn't that they had people observing this experiment, so it wasn't someone's gaze. It was a mechanical recording device. And so technically that's not someone's consciousness. And yet even using the camera of whatever sort they had that was able to record which slit the electrons went through, so you can imagine, you know, the level of small that we're working on here. Well, it's quantum. It was a mechanical device, and yet when they turned it on, it influenced or impacted the outcome. It changed it. And instead of the wave behavior that they had been getting, it went back to behaving as a particle. An electron, of course, can be either, neither, or both, or one or the other. I mean, you know, whatever. So I don't know what that's saying exactly. I will often, I do go back to Peter Russell, who's also a physicist. My favorite lecture of his, in 1 hour, it's just kick butt what he manages to lay out in the primacy of consciousness. And as a physicist, he went way out on a limb to say that he doesn't think that matter is what's primary, that the foundational substance of all that is was once taken to be the atom, the smallest particle. You know, we've been still looking for the smallest particle with this Higgs boson thing. And Russell came out and spoke up for consciousness instead of matter as primary. And he did an elegant job with just some slides of laying it out. It's beautifully done. At one point, at least within ourselves, my friends, I think that we need to harmonize. I'll call it science and philosophy, or science and consciousness. We're not going to be able to convince people that are rabid for one side or the other, and that's not what I propose. We don't have to change the world, remember, we just have to change ourselves. And even if we only do as much as to bring our own self into a better and a deeper understanding of these things, we've done something. Fractally, we have impacted the whole and brought it closer to peace and to wholeness. There's a thought for you. So instead of saying, hey, I've got an answer and here it is, I'm saying, hey, everybody, let's take a look at it again and see if we can't harmonize it within ourselves, so that when we're tempted to make a comment on one of these videos, it comes from heart, it comes from that point of peace. And energetically, you impact a comment thread when you put your words down. Your energy goes down with it. And when it's a really contentious one and people are slinging words around like mud and sticks, I even send out a prayer as I put it in there, that only blessing will come of it, and that there be some angel mediators join in, and we want to be the peace that we want to see in the world. And so I guess I'll make that a wrap for this one, and we'll see where it goes next, because I just can't seem to stop recording. Good day. Okay, I'm going to tack on just a tiny thing here. I'm fond of saying language structures consciousness. It does. And it's time for more and more of us, those who feel ready, to begin watching our language and our use of words and how words are used around us. I went to put a title to the video I just made, and the title was Science versus Philosophy, and then there was a little bit more to it, and Hart went back and changed it to Science, Philosophy, and Peace. So the way I had used the words, I had set up the fight, this versus that. Even though that's very descriptive, and English-wise it would have worked beautifully, it changes the energy a good bit to make this shift. So it's little things like that that we all do all the time. Okay, see ya.